Do you see challenges as problems or part of the process? I recently heard Tony Robbins say the biggest problem we have as human beings is that we think we shouldn't have any. We think we shouldn't have any problems. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be a dream world? But that's not realistic. If we are building anything, we're doing anything, we're putting it work out into the world, we're going to have some problems in our lives. It's just life. But so often when we're going through a challenge, we have a problem that we're struggling with, we are so uncomfortable. We want to find a solution as quickly as possible, get out of it because we don't want to sit in that discomfort. This reminded me of years ago, early on in my career, I had gotten into business with someone and I quickly realized it was not the right partnership for me. And I was uncomfortable. I wanted to get out of it. All I could think about was just leaving the partnership, leaving the business, getting out of it, and doing it as quickly as possible. And while I know that that was the right decision to leave the partnership, that messy middle, that transition from where I was to where I wanted to be was a lot more painful than it had to be if I had only shifted my perspective a little bit. Because doing that, what it did was at the end of that partnership and that whole situation, I learned so much. I grew so much. And while it was uncomfortable, I could have sat in that situation a little bit differently at the time. It reminds me of the Stoic idea that things are not good or bad, they just are. Epictetus said, it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. And that feels especially true when we are in the messy middle, when we are in the uncomfortableness of it. What challenges are you going through today that you might be able to shift your perspective a little bit and ask yourself, how can I be handling these differently? This also got me thinking about a speaker I heard recently at a C12 event. His name is Brandon West. He is a very successful entrepreneur. He owns a digital marketing agency. And the whole first half of his presentation, he was talking all about his wins, the cool business that he has, the work that he and his team are doing. They have a care program to help their team grow, which of course creates a great culture. So people stay, they want to work there. They're able to attract really great talent. And they're doing really incredible work to launch care programs for women and children. It all sounds so amazing. And it is amazing. The work that they are doing is absolutely incredible. And it seems so simple when he's up there talking about what he's built. Just behind the scenes, it seems, oh yeah, I built this business and it's great and wonderful. But then the whole second half of the presentation, he said, business is hard. Let's talk about that. It's all wonderful and great that this is what we're building and he's so passionate about doing it. But also, things are not always going perfectly. When a client gets upset or they get a bad review or a key team member decides to leave, all of these problems, all these challenges that he's faced with, he has to figure out and handle in business. And every day as a business owner, if you run a business or you lead a team, you're part of a team, you know that there's always something that comes up. There's always something that we have to take care of. And so I loved this half of the presentation because it was true and it was honest. He was honestly talking about, hey, it's not always fun and it's not always great, but you know what? In the end, what we are building is worth it. What we are building is incredible. And yeah, there's always going to be challenges. And so when we can shift our mindset into remembering we can never live a life without problems, without challenges, without those things that we have to go through in order to become a better version of ourselves. The person that Brandon was 10 years ago is very different than the human he is today, having built this incredible business. Just like you are a different person than you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, hopefully even a year ago, because you are going through new challenges. You're dealing with new life situations. And because of that, you're gaining new skills, you're meeting new people, you're putting yourself in these situations to help you grow. And that is what life is about. Life is about becoming the best version of ourselves. And some of our biggest challenges are our lessons learned, the things that really shape us. What does that look like for you? If you were going to give a presentation like Brandon did, what would the first half of that presentation look like? What would you put in there about all of the things that you've done, whether you're building a business, you have a really incredible family, or you have a job that you love, you're working on really incredible creative projects that you're so proud of? What does all of that look like? And then the second half of that presentation, you get to talk about, okay, it looks all good and shiny when I talk about it like this, but over here, man, it wasn't always easy. I went through all of these challenges. And it wasn't fun at the time. We remember when you think back at some of the challenges that you were able to overcome, you still remember that messy middle. You still remember the messy middle of it all and how uncomfortable it was. But you got to the other side because you always do. You figure it out. And when you do, you're a different person on the other side. You're someone new. And then you can look back and think, wow, I would have approached that challenge much differently. And so when you have a similar challenge, now you approach that challenge differently. And then, of course, you get one thrown at you that is completely different. And so this is life. And so to be able to change our perspective and say, okay, I'm going to go at it full force. I'm going to look at it differently, going back to stoicism and thinking, okay, this isn't good or bad. It just is. And so it's up to me to figure out, what am I going to do? How am I going to approach this? Every time we overcome a challenge, we've learned a better way to solve it and a better way to grow through it. Okay, one last point, because I thought about one more thing as I was thinking through this idea. We recently hosted an event with Matthew Kelly called Best Year Ever. It was an incredible day. We did a lot of activities to help you set up to have your best year ever. And I remember one of the things that Matthew was talking about was life gets messy. He has a book called Life is Messy. And we all know that life can be messy. And one of the things he shared that I really loved and appreciated was that he said, no matter how messy life is or can get, find a way to have fun. Find a way to have fun, even through the messy middle, even through the challenges of it all. We have to find a way to have fun with it. I know it can be much easier said than done, because when we are sitting in the mess, when we're sitting in the messy middle, it's uncomfortable. You're like, oh, how can I possibly find a way to have fun with it? But that is the challenge. That is the challenge that we get to give ourselves to figure out, okay, what can I do to have a little bit more fun, to bring a little bit more joy to the situation and make it a little bit easier to get through. How we go about solving them, how we grow through them, that's what really matters. No matter where you are in business or life, I hope this inspired you in some way. Whether you're dealing with a challenge or not, I hope it inspires you to keep going, to remember the wins that you've had, to think through some of the challenges that you have overcome and how it shaped you, how it has helped you grow, how it has helped you become the person that you are today, to be able to handle the situations that you are able to handle that you might not have been able to a few years ago, which is a beautiful thing, which is all part of life and growth. This is also an opportunity for a good journaling prompt because, there's always room for a good journaling prompt. So something around problems. So it might be something like, how might I handle this challenge differently? What's another way to look at this problem? Who might I become through this challenge? Or you can just write about whatever thoughts came up for you during this video. Whatever you decide to do, I hope it helps you work through your next challenge. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, go create something.